Hello. Today in this lecture, I am going to explain to you static routing. It means that what are the different types of static routing and how to configure static routes uh, in different network systems using routers or switches or servers or ISPs. Here, the different objectives for each topic throughout this lecture. Uh, for example, the static routes. First thing, how to describe the static route and how we can use commands in order to create and configure static routes. Second point, we are going to configure IP static routes for sure for IP version 4 and IP version 6. And we also want to configure what we call default static routes as well as the floating static routes. And finally, we end up by configuring static host routes. Okay. For sure, we will do all these configurations for IP version 4 and IP version 6. Here's the definitions for static host route. We will define it later on. A host routes, static host routes that direct traffic, it forwards or direct traffic to a specific host, like a server, for example. Static routes. So, types of static routes. How many types? Basically, there are 4 static routes. We will define them and we will explain each one in detail. Static routes are commonly implemented on a network. This is true even when there is a dynamic routing protocol configured. So even if we have dynamic routing protocol, we can also add static routes with this network implementation. Okay, so we can do both of them at the same time, static routing and dynamic routing. So static routes can be configured for sure for IP version 4 and IP version 6. And static routes have different types. The first one is a standard static route. Standard, we define a classical static route for a small sized network. Okay, and we route all the information throughout this standard static route. However, for the default static route, we may add dynamic routing and we may add static routing, but we define default static route. For example, if this link doesn't work, the router should use this default route. Okay, so we can do them together. Floating static route, the third one, and the summary static route. So we will talk on each one throughout this lecture in detail. Static routes are configured using the command iproute for IP version 4 and IP version 6 route for IP version 6, and we should enter the global configuration prompt. Okay, so these commands should be done in a global configuration. Next hop options, static routes and next hop options. Next hop, it means that if we have a router and we want to forward some packet from our router to the next router immediately connected, it will be the next hop. The first connecting router to the interface is called the next hop. Okay, so when configuring a static route, the next hop can be identified. We should define the next hop. We define it for sure by the IP address of the next hop device, router, or whatever. The exit interface of our router that we are configuring, or sometimes we should define both of them, the IP address of the next hop and the exit interface of our router. How the destination is specified creates one of three following types of static route. So in all cases, we have three types. Next hop route, it means that only the next hop IP address is specified. We don't add the interface. Okay, we only add the IP address of the next hop. We will talk them in later on in detail. Directly connected static route, only we define the interface, and the interface, exit interface of our router. So we should define the router, the interface that exits or that forwards the packets from the router under configuration. And the third type, we can use exit interface and next hop IP address. Okay, it could be router here, the next router. We will see them in detail, don't worry. This is the global IP version 4 static route command. So IP version static routes are configured using this command, but sometimes, as we defined here, we may use one, you may use the second only, you may use both of them. So basically, at router, when we enter the global configuration and we are at config with hashtag, we just type IP route, it means IP version for route. We should add first thing the network address. The network address or the destination network address, to be precise. And remember, the network always terminates with .0 network, right? So the destination network address, its subnet mask, IP address of next hop, exit interface of this router, the IP address for sure as we did here, okay? And because here sometimes we add address IP as we did here. So we add address, we add the interface and both of them, and we add some distance, and this distance, it's administrative distance. This is optional. You can add, you can as you want. But remember, the value, the larger value this distance have, it means that as the value of the distance becomes larger, this route is not favorable. It means that the router tries to avoid it. But if we have this minimum, the router prefer to choose this. So one If the value is minimum, it means the router give it priority to use this route. If the value is very high, it means the router should avoid in the routing table taking this path. So either the IP address, which is for the next router, or the exit interface, which is normally when we add the interface, the exit interface, sometimes it could be to Ethernet networks or to other networks. Or the IP address and the next interface parameters must be configured. So three options, either IP, either interface, or both of them. The IP and the interface must be configured. And if this, in the third case, the IP represents the next hop router and the interface, exit interface of the router. Now, what's difference here? Here just for IP version 6, okay? So IP version 6 static routes are configured using the same, almost the same command. So IP version 6 route. So to create a static route, we should type this in IP version 6. IP version 6 route. We add the destination network / prefix 64 bits or 128 bits, or I don't know. Then we should add the next hop IP version 6 address, and we should also add the exit interface and the distance. It's 5, 7, 8, it depends. So most of these parameters, it looks like the same as IP version 4. We will see an example. This is dual stack topology. Imagine that we have this topology. And here R1, R2, R3. R1, it's connected to this network address 172.16.30. This is network. This is network, another network beyond R2. It's beyond R2. The network address is 172.16.10. This is the network address version 4 and network address version 6. And here, you know, it looks like there's two versions, two networks. This network beyond R3, it's 192.168.2.0. And for this interface, beyond this router, at this interface, there's another network, which we call it 192.168.10. Remember, this is network address because 10, and this is also second network 20. So on the interface at the right hand side of R2 here, there is two